This conference will now be recorded.
She just gave us a little update. So we thought what we do is each time is going to be a little bit different. Depending on the size of the group, we can have some group conversation. We can kind of learn about each other and connect. The idea of this in the past has always been to do it in person, and the best part of it's having a glass of wine and getting to hear about each other's work and doing that kind of thing. And I think we want to get back to that at some point soon, hopefully in the spring. But we didn't want to slow down, and we also wanted to start kind of talking about the Arts Commission. And I had talked to a number of artists who didn't really know how the public art collection got put together or how they might be involved. And we thought it'd be good to start putting that kind of word out. And if we record it, we can put it on our website, and then we'll have it, and we can refer people to it as well. And even more important than that, it helps us learn how to talk about what we're doing.
Right. I understand that. So that's great.
Now, are you here in the city, or where are you?
No, I am not. I am from Roanoke. I lived most of my life in Roanoke. Went to Cave Spring schools, and right now I live in Cairo, Georgia, which is about 11 miles north of Tallahassee, Florida.
Wow. Yeah. So. Have you had weather coming through there, or you've been?
You could say that. Actually, we have been up here. We're north enough that we haven't had the pouring rains, but it's been dark all day long.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah.
But thank goodness we're not expecting all the flooding that Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana are.
Yeah.
So.
Well, great. This fall series is focused on our collection, and we're building up to a call for a temporary sculpture exhibition, and we're going to put that call out at the very end of this series in late October. And we hope next spring we have an art walk, and we hope to fill that with about 8 sculptures, and that'll be a temporary piece, so we can rent them, or we can or artists can create temporary sculptures to go in there that'll last 18 months to 2 years. And typically they come from all over the country. This year we're hoping to get at least 4 of those of local artists, and we love having pieces from local artists and artists who have ties to the region and are from the region. So it's always a better story to tell, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, my heart will always be in Roanoke, even though it's a little cold up there for me to live.
It got cold today. You can see I'm wearing a sweatshirt already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jane, welcome back.
Hello, how's everybody?
Hey, doing well. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Hello, William Penn.
Hello, Jane.
I'm good.
Now, are you old buddies?
We are.
Yeah. How do you know each other?
From music.
Yeah. Oh, are you musicians? Oh, yeah. Really cool. Where am I going to hear you perform next?
Actually, next weekend's a double whammy. I'm doing a thing for the Roots Down radio show at the Spot on Kirk on Saturday, fundraiser, and on Sunday I am working with Brian Hancock with his soul sessions at the Grandin Theater.
I have a ticket. I will be there.
Yay!
I knew I would see you somewhere.
You again? We'll treat.
Excellent. Oh, I can't wait. And then Greg Webster.
I am here. Believe it or not, you can't see me because I'm cooking right now.
Ooh, I can smell. It smells great.
Yeah. But,
I always like a little garlic.
What's that?
I always like a little garlic.
Yeah. I'll add a little bit of garlic.
All right. And Greg is on the Arts Commission. Greg is on his last year, I think, right? You term out at the end of this year, right?
I think it's 21. I think.
Okay. Well, 21 is going to be will be this year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it'll be 2021. Okay. Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah.
So so this particular one interested me because it had such a part in the Elmwood Park project. So
Well, we're building up to talking about that call coming up at the end of this whole series. Last week we talked a little bit about the Roanoke Arts Commission, like an overview, and this week we are going to talk about the collection and just kind of how works get into the collection, where they come from, and what we're looking for this year in the collection as well. And each time we're going to have hopefully at least one of the committee members here. William is here, member of the collections committee, and also William's on the funding committee too. So William's been working as well, been busy this year in getting grants out to organizations and these CARES Act grants that we're pushing out now. Oh yeah, and well, I gotta plug this. I gotta plug this too because we're doing those performance grants. Did you see those, Jane?
I did. Those are the ones that are coming through from the restaurants, though, right?
The restaurants, yeah. Are you working with any restaurants on one of those?
I was getting ready to reach out about that, but then I thought I saw the deadline was August 31st.
It was August 28th for the first round, but we still have the commission approved 3 more today. We have 7 more slots. So you can still build a partnership with a restaurant, and in fact, Toya is doing it through Morning Brew, where Brian does a lot of his stuff. But if there's a restaurant that you think might be a likely partner and you need any support, I'm happy to help talk to them. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is share my screen now. I always have to.
Not necessary.
What did you say?
Not necessary.
I always have to learn how to do this each time. Okay. Share it. We got a little bit of a presentation here, and
There we go.
oh great! I'm gonna hit this, and I think if I do this, it'll get a little less junky. How's that look to you?
Oh, it may need to refresh.
You're the secret to doing this. I know what to do. Go through this way.
Good.
Okay.
That's
great.
better.
Great. Okay. And then I just got to do one more thing, I think.
All these new interfaces we have to learn.
I tell you, and
For being online.
I'm over 50 now, so it's getting harder for me to learn things. I've decided.
No, don't tell yourself that. Don't tell yourself that. No, it's everybody.
Okay. Well, all right. So I mentioned kind of the point we're doing. One of the points, or some of the points why we're doing this, is to build a stronger network and create more opportunities for artists in the region. And we want to get more people successfully responding to calls and get more artists involved in different kinds of projects as well. We also think that artists need to be part of the decision-making process throughout the community. Whatever kind of problem we're trying to solve, that creative energy of artists can be really helpful and change the way some of our civic boards are thinking. And we want to be doing some collective planning across artists. And so we've already found out who's here. And we did ask the question last time, what emotion, feeling, or idea does the concept of public art in Roanoke evoke for you? Jane, did you have any thoughts about that? Did you think about that after last time?
I'm thinking about it all the time.
Mhm.
I guess the main thing is that and you're already answering it, is that I want to be more involved. I'd like to see more local involvement. I get discouraged when there's call goes out and it's like, there's a person from California who just got this grant to do this thing. And I'm like, so you're already addressing it in just a wonderful way. I'm just really glad to be at the table, and I hope that more people get involved. I love the idea of more public art, more problem solving, more revitalization through the arts.
Great.
And if you can think of a way we can get more local artists involved, please let us know. And we're open to all kinds of ideas.
Yeah. And then Tracy, do you have any thoughts on that? On any emotion or feeling that the concept of public art in Roanoke might evoke?
Well, sure. I mean, there's so many, and I think everybody's like this to a point, but when you're in a place and when you grow up there, you don't realize the heritage or the place or the feeling or the view or the area. You don't realize the value of that until you leave. One thing about being from Roanoke and then living down here is that I miss the mountains, and I miss going to I miss going on hikes. I'm an hour and a half from the beach, but the beach kind of gets boring. But the mountains, there's always, something different to do or different, a different, what I want to say, a different area to explore. And Roanoke is just such a unique city in that it has kept a lot of its history, a lot of the historic flavor. And yet it's still moving into the future, with all the new buildings for the healthcare and the industry and the the service industry. So I think a lot of a city's appreciation for itself is when you do go around and look at public art. Look at uh, sculptures, murals, anything that the artists have set a footprint on the city. Even if they work on a project that it's really, strictly, they have strict rules. Their voice and their taste and their talent and their style still goes into that. So I think it's a reflection of the city that you all want to get more people involved in this. And I'm pretty excited about it myself. I don't think I told you my daughter is up there, still lives up there, so I get up there quite a bit.
Oh, great.
So yes, yeah. No.
Yeah, that was the way you phrase that kind of helps us appreciate the place around us. I heard someone say the other day that kind of the art teaches us to see or to look in a way, or trains us to look in a way. It really can help us lift our eyes a bit. And I think that's connecting us to our place in a stronger way. That's a really important thing.
Yes. Yeah, and it's almost like you don't realize what you miss until you don't see it again, or you can't. So yeah.
Yeah. There's some real power in that going away and coming back. Yeah.
And it's an identity. It's a city's identity, and it's something to be proud of, even Roanoke.
Definitely. Tonight we're going to focus on we'll do a little overview of the collection and talk about the goals of the collection, and then the role the committee that William's on, like how do we interpret what we have already and how do we promote it and take care of it? And y'all might have some ideas around that as well. We were established in 1983, and I want to give a big shout out to the lady who's pictured there, Susan Jennings, who was the first staff person, and she was hired in 2006. And you know, the city had art for a long time, but it wasn't inventoried. It was kind of everywhere. Things needed to be reframed and cleaned, and there was a big effort. And Sue Egbert, who popped on the conversation last time, she was key on that committee, and they put a lot of work into getting that all into shape. So I wanted to give a shout out about that and the role of volunteers in doing this work as well. Back on my. Okay, there. I think it went away. Yeah.
Well, the collection committee, that's what I serve on. We have over 160 works in our collection here. And we do two-dimensional, three-dimensional works. We deal with display and functional works. And we have 3 ways we're doing it. We commission it, we receive it, I'll be back. And all 3 work, and I'm gonna let Doug tell you how we do that. Most of our two-dimensional work is done by regional artists mostly. We put out a call with input from the community or from whoever is asking for that. We try to put out a call that we get that need satisfied. Our three-dimensional work is interior and exterior works, and we do the maintenance of those, and we put out the same kind of call to make sure that the community or whoever we are working with is involved, and when the piece is here, it's satisfactory. I don't think we've had anything back since I've been here, so that's good. And like I say, we're looking for local artists, and we're looking to make it more diverse. People are really not involved the way we would like for them to, and we're looking for that with this too also.
Yeah, that's a really good point, William. And I just got an email too. Of course, right now with the very important and necessary conversation that's happening around the country and around the world, you're seeing a bigger interest, I think. And in fact, there's going to be a couple of shows coming up in the city. And there's one I just heard today that the over Brilliant Clinic, that they're going to be working on a show of works of Black artists in the winter time. And they sent me a note and said, "Hey, do you have a list of Black artists?" And I said, and they said, "We're having trouble finding, finding working artists in the community." And they're working artists, but we have different parts of the community who are connected. And we've got it, not everybody's responding to the kind of very formal official calls. But then Urban Arts Project pulled together the street mural a couple of months ago, and we had a terrific group of artists there who were very professional.
Tracy, did you hear about that?
Yes, I did. Can you all hear?
Yeah.
Okay. I did hear about that. I did not get a chance to participate this time, but I'm looking forward to more opportunities.
Great. Yeah, I think that was an important effort in the community. Yeah. All right.
And we do go to a lot of different art shows in the area and the region. And if we see something we really like, we may purchase it or whatever. So if you go to an art show, let us know. What's all art shows we don't know about.
Yeah.
I will definitely do that.
Let's see. Okay. So for some reason, when I make that big, it doesn't want to respond well. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to talk about this?
No, go ahead.
So William mentioned we have two-dimensional art and we've got three-dimensional art, and we want to show you some of each of these. And we thought this was kind of a good way to talk about the collection in kind of juxtapositions. So in two-dimensional art, this work by Nancy Stark, I can remember this was in the city art show. There used to be a city art show, and we used to purchase a piece from it each year. Now, we used to have an arts council, and we don't have an arts council anymore.
Yeah, Blue Ridge.
Yeah, and that's really what the group that organized that. So this piece is, of course, reflects our railroad history, and it's a gorgeous piece, and it's got a lot of, you can't tell so much from the image, but when you get up real close, there's a lot of complexity in it, and that work is hanging in the city manager's suite. So it's got to be in a public, like a reception area. It can't be in a private office, but we have it throughout the public areas in the civic building. So
Yeah, I am familiar with her work. I love her work.
Oh yeah, and she does some cool three-dimensional work too, right? Like boxes that were with the same kind of train motif, but in a different way.
Oh, I'll have to look up her site. Okay.
Yeah. And then this portrait, I just looked at this the other day because they're getting ready to redo the Gainsborough Library. And
Oh, good.
yeah, it's going to, yeah, and it's
Exactly.
such a great space, and they're going to, give it new carpeting, all those fixtures. It's going to be very much the same, because they just did that new community room maybe 8 or 10 years ago.
About 10 years.
10 years ago. And so there's some terrific art in there, and we've got the Antonio Hale pieces that are in there. But this piece I wanted to show because this was, this came into the city in 1971, and would that have been that? I don't know if that was when she retired, or maybe she had retired prior to that. But Virginia Lee was the librarian that made Gainsborough Library happen, and she was the librarian there for I think 4 decades, 40 years or so. Yeah, and collected the African American first editions that they have over there. It's a real treasure in the city. So this piece, some of our work recognizes people in the city and who are important to the city. And this one, of course, even before the Arts Commission was around, this piece was here. All right, so those were two-dimensional works, and then here are a couple of three-dimensional works. And one, so I was looking at this last night. Like I said, we're teaching ourselves how to talk about things, and I'm learning. I've only been in the position for a year, but I was on the Arts Commission for 11 years and then volunteered in between. But this piece is in front of the Virginia Museum of Transportation, and that I think that's a private site.
It is.
Yes. Oh, but we've got public art in front of it, so we must have an agreement with them, and I have to research that and figure out how that works so I understand it. Every day is about learning, so that'll be one thing I'll learn this week. And this is a piece by Betty Branch, and it was done in the year 2000. So we've got a number of these pieces too that are, they are commissioned to reflect values that are important to the community. She has a piece in front of one of the libraries as well. And it's called Fallen Firefighter. It's bronze. And then another of the three-dimensional, the Sister Cities sculptures. And we've got an active Sister Cities program in the community, and they've got these are in Century Plaza, and Century Plaza is a great little park and it's lined with ginkgo trees. And these were about to be cleaned. On October 5th, we power washed the ground, the concrete below them. And on October 5th, we're hiring a local artist to go in and do the cleaning work. And then the original artist, one of them, Donna Essig, is going to come and do some repair work. And then we're going to seal them. Because a big part of what we've got to do is care for what we've got. And it's good that we can hire local artists and you know, when we need to hire somebody, we try to hire local artists and people who are active in the arts community and who understand the importance and care they have to take in working on these pieces. All right, so okay, here's a game for everybody tonight. We can try and figure out an antonym, the opposite of functional art. You know, we think of functional art being kind of some of the street furniture that we do, or even like a manhole cover or person hole cover, I guess, would be functional art. But what's the opposite of that? I put displayed art. I don't know if that's a right. I just kind of made that term up. I couldn't think of what the opposite of it would be, because all art serves a function. So I kind of don't like the term functional art even, right?
Useful art.
Yeah, well, it's all useful too. I think we'll keep having a hard time with this, but bear with us when we talk about kind of displayed art. And this piece, do you remember much about this piece?
No, I don't.
Well, this one again reflects our train history. So you know, not all of our art is in this vein where it's, you know, we're reinforcing an identity, but this piece is in that case, and it's over on the pedestrian walkway as you come down, come across from the Roanoke, from the Hotel Roanoke, and enter downtown Roanoke, and it's up in the space above it, and it's a big, beautiful kinetic sculpture. And there even, if you look closely, there's some fans up there to make it move a little bit. I'm not sure. I have to look and see if those fans are running now or not. But and this artist is from North Carolina, and he's from Siler City, North Carolina. And when he put this up, that pedestrian walkway gets extremely hot, and it must have been like 110 degrees in that thing on the weekend. Maybe 3 days he spent getting it hung. And I remember when we did the dedication. And Mayor Lee wasn't mayor then, but he might have been vice mayor, and he spoke at the dedication, and there was just sweat pouring off of everybody. So there's a little story about that displayed art. And I said, you know, it looks like it could almost be a fan, but it's not a fan. And then here's another piece of displayed art, and it is in the municipal building on the 3rd floor, and it's called Captain's Choice. And that again was from the City Art Show in 1983. And when we go back and look at the collection, it just made us very intentional about purchasing art for the collection when we had that reason to do it. And this one won the Curator's Choice Award. And it makes it easier, I think, for the commission to purchase a piece when it has, you know, when there's a juried event. Now, in opposition to the displayed art, we've got some functional art, and there are 2 benches here on either side of the fountain in Highland Park, and those were commissioned by the work is by an artist out of Kentucky, and they're called Strength and Caring, the 2 benches. And so there's some functional art, so we can sit. Let's see. And I'll have to apologize. Jane, let's see. Okay. Jane, there was some noise coming from you, so I muted you, but then I then I went to unmute you and I couldn't do it. So, but it looks like you're unmuted now. And then another, let's see, maybe it's my mouse that's, there it is. Okay, and then you like this one, William?
Go ahead.
You like it?
Yeah, yeah. And there's several pieces around Roanoke similar to this. I call it for bus stops, but the outside or it always has a motif of something that's really nice that makes waiting on the bus or going to the bus, nice. It really does.
Yeah. We have a real deficit of bus shelters in the region, and because there are a lot, you go past a lot, like Walmart out at Valley View, you see people standing out in the rain, and we just need to get more bus shelters out, period. While we're doing that, we're hoping to find ways to make them artistic, and we're going to have a call coming out this fall for Melrose, Melrose Avenue, and then over on 11th Street, we're going to do hopefully four bus shelters. Now, these won't be as unique as this bus shelter we're looking at. The ones that we're going to do are going to be more like the traditional standard bus shelters that Valley Metro puts in place, but we're going to hire artists to work with a fabricator who happens to be in Roanoke to make them artistic. So there are going to be some ways that they'll work with the community, find out what the community wants to say about itself, the neighborhood, and then find ways to weave that into the structure. This piece, I really do like this piece just because it reflects the vernacular architecture, and it's called Changes in the Air. And she's a North Carolina artist. She lives in Black Mountain, North Carolina. All right. So we want to talk a little bit about how pieces, give some examples of how pieces come into the collection. And one of the primary ways we do it for especially the outdoor sculpture, is commissioning them. And this piece is called In My Hands, and it was the first piece that we commissioned with the Percent for Art Fund. And we mentioned last time that 1% of most capital projects goes to public art, and they put a big investment in this larger piece that's in front of the Performing Arts Center.
And most people they really, really like it when they're there. I watch them just look at it.
Yeah, and it is, and it's
interesting to just watch it.
Yeah, and it's nice because you can get those different perspectives. You can move all the way around it, and that was a picture from the dedication, and they did have members of the symphony playing at the dedication, and I guess that was 12 years ago now. Boy, howdy. Yeah. All right. And William, what do you love about this piece?
This is so relaxing, just to go outside the Gainsborough Library to that garden. It inspires you to sit down and just read and relax. That's what I get from it.
Yeah. This piece is by Madeline Weiner, and she works in that limestone, and she's out of Colorado. And I will say, when we work with artists from outside the area, we're hiring something particular. And when it works well, when it's an artist from outside the area, it's when they work well with the community. And I can think of—
They did, they really did.
Yeah. In fact, this reading garden celebrates the Gainsborough Library, and it celebrates books. And I'm getting a message that, let's see, we gotta close that down. Okay. Oh, I closed the wrong thing down, apparently. How did I do that? Oh, you know what? Let's see. No, I didn't. Okay, can you still see this?
We still see it. Yes.
Great. I was getting a message that said my internet was slow. I should close something down. I was afraid I closed down the wrong thing.
Jane, have you ever been there? She's
Yeah. There she is.
Jane?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever been to the Gainesville Library?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the
Yes,
Gainesville
I'm getting ready.
Library?
I have.
It's really nice.
I have.
Tell me what you
It
think.
is. It's very nice. Huh?
What do you think about it?
What do I think about that? That sculpture makes me feel like I'm in a room, like a holy space. Like there's an aura. I don't know how to describe it other than it's not like the rest of that outdoor area. That area is like a sacred spot.
I agree, and I wish this is a terrible picture of it, and it's a picture. And it's a picture we have online showing the collection. And this is something the collection committee is going to be working on over the next year or more, getting really good photography of our pieces. I've got a shot. Yeah. I've got a shot of the, like one of the faces, and it looks, it's serene. It makes it feel like a contemplative space. And we'll get some better shots of it. The artist worked with the students in the surrounding area. They're students at the elementary school and students at the Catholic school, worked with the neighborhood and incorporated writing in the limestone. So there's poetry from a 16-year-old student who passed away soon after. There are drawings from students. The books like titles that are in that collection, and the librarian, and see, well, Carla Lewis.
Yeah.
Carla Lewis was the librarian. Yeah.
And she's retired now.
Yeah. And there was a picture, they're drawing of her in there. Yeah. So in that case, the artist worked really well with the community. And we saw that as well with Napoleon Jones Henderson this year with another library project, and with Cheryl Foster, who did the mosaics in front of the market building.
Yeah, since I've been involved with this commission, the more involved the artist is, the more the art is appreciated, and people buy into it, and that makes it worth doing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Greg.
I want to add a second story here to this particular project because several years after this sculpture was, the Roanoke Opera came to the Roanoke Arts Commission and said, "Hey, we want to dedicate some trees to this site. You know, can you help us out?" So we helped the Roanoke Opera create a little bit of a story behind some tree location. Tree species for this site, so it kind of adds another layer to that whole place. So if you knew that, Doug, or not, or
No,
Yeah, that's the Joe Green project, right?
yeah,
Yeah, under
Yep.
like Giuseppe Verdi.
there, yeah. So I kind of worked with them to locate two trees, but the two trees have special meaning because of the R and where they're placed in the site. So they speak to each other and kind of plays along with the opera and the play, and it has some deeper meaning. But I don't think too many people know that, but it's just the intent and the meaning behind some of these projects that help make these places.
Well, Greg, thank you for chiming in on that, and I completely agree. And that's the kind of information that we've got to capture and make available for people. And I tell you, I can go to an exhibit at the Taubman, and I'm denser than the average Joe on some of this stuff, and I don't, and maybe I get it, maybe I don't get it, maybe I kind of walk around, I look at it, and I leave. But when I go and I hear the artist talk about it, and I get that insight, I always appreciate it more. And so when there's information that we can add and engage people with, I think they'll be more connected to it. Okay, William, tell us about this piece of commissioned art.
This is one of my favorite pieces. It's called Xander's Time. And David, and we are commissioned 216. And it's a Campbell and Patterson. And it's a really good piece. And I like the lines and the way it just sort of dances. My personal name, I call it dancing spirit, but
That's a good point. Yeah. And you get that from a variety of views on Patterson and on Campbell and upper
and a lower view.
Yeah. And this piece, and this is a piece that we received. So we talked about commissioned pieces, and now this piece we received from the artist, and it's a series of woodcuts.
I think we need to explain how we, with somebody who offers us something, the process of receiving it.
That's, well, you want to explain it?
Well, it comes to the collection committee, and we talk about it to see where it will best fit, and see if we can keep the upkeep of it, and make sure that it's something that everybody will appreciate. So that's how we receive stuff, basically.
Excellent, yeah. And that upkeep's an important piece of it too. Were you on the committee when this was received? No. Okay, yeah. And there are 4 pieces. One of them just fell the other day, and I had to reframe it. So it's at the framers right now. I somehow one of the anchors was loose in the wall, I guess. And there are 4 pieces, and they're gorgeous, and they're not. I happened to have snapped a picture the other day, but you know what? I couldn't actually find this one in our inventory, and I couldn't find it on the website. So I've got to go back and get that added in. Yeah. And then, this isn't as good a picture, but a Ray Koss, and Ann Bell, we have a number of Ann Bell pieces in the collection that she gave. She also gave us this piece, and it's 2009, called Untitled Abstract, but you can kind of see it's not so abstract. Yeah. You can see some forms in there. You can see a landscape and some building. Yeah. Okay, and so those were received, and then here's some that we purchased. And this piece we purchased after having it on loan through one of our first temporary exhibits in the city, Art in Roanoke. And Markiel Harris, the artist, this is on Wells Avenue, and Wells Avenue is, right there by the Hotel Roanoke, and it's an area that got wiped out by urban renewal, and they built that wall, and there had been houses there, right behind it. Now, that wall had a niche in it that was intentionally there for art, but they never had art pieces that they never could figure out what to put there. And someone told me that they had, the neighbors, they presented works before to say, hey, could this go? And nothing really worked. And then this piece was placed there temporarily, and everybody felt it really fit there. And it's called Recoil. Now there's also surrounding it some really nice interpretive signage that, Hill Studio, Evie at Hill Studio worked on those, and Charlene Graves. And Greg, did you work on that project any? He's eating his dinner now, I think.
It took me a second to get to the mute button. No, but Hill Studio, I think, worked on some of that project, a lot of the stuff on Wells Avenue. But we also helped work on some of the interpretive elements that you can't see in that picture, but it's the backdrop to some of that.
Yeah. And if you step out, we had the not League of California Cities, that's another state. The Virginia Municipal League had their conference here, and they we did a walking tour, and we didn't go very far, and it took us, we took 2 hours, and most of it was spent, you know, right there in Gainsborough. And you can talk so much about the history and the challenges, and you know, and the community of Roanoke there, and even just, we've got a number of good art pieces right there. But it's an interesting addition to the Gainsborough story, the art that's in place, including Global Harmony, one of the newer pieces. Here's another piece that was given to, no, so it was purchased. This was purchased after being in the Roanoke College, the biennial. Were you on the committee when this one?
No, I'm on 2 years on the committee.
Okay. Well, this one was pretty recent, I think, when it was added in, but maybe it was more than two years. It was done in 2009, but I'm not sure when it was purchased. Okay, so that's just that's a detail of it.
Yep.
And now, even beyond the collection, so we've got the permanent collection, and then we have pieces that we borrow. And this piece is in the beautiful new Melrose Library, and this year is the centennial of Dorothy Gillespie. And this piece, called Color Fall, is on loan from the Dorothy Gillespie Foundation. And there we've got pieces all over the city. There are pieces where the Taubman has a bunch right now. They've got a really beautiful show. Have you been in there to see the show?
Yet.
Yeah, it's really worth going to. And then the city has proclaimed this year the year of color, light, and motion. And that was the name of her show at Rockefeller Plaza when she had a show there. And then this is one of the pieces that's currently on our art walk, and it's by Alec Aida. And he was living over on the Eastern Shore in Maryland, on the Eastern Shore, when he submitted this, but he's since moved to California. So this piece is on the art walk. It'll be there through April. And in the past, we have chosen some pieces on those temporary exhibits to purchase. Like I mentioned, the recoil we purchased. We're going to go really deep into one of them in a couple of weeks with Ann Glover on a piece of hers that we, in a fashion, purchased from the temporary exhibit. The temporary exhibits and we'll talk about those a lot more next week, so I won't go any deeper into that. So,
Any questions so far? Any comments?
And we're
Not really.
okay.
Except this was a ton of good information from your all's viewpoint and from a business viewpoint, and other than just what comes out of our heads. Which a little bit of what you all are looking for and how we can take that idea and run with it and put our own twist on it. So I'm kind of getting excited about it.
Well, great. Well, I think it'll be even more exciting next time when we start talking about those the temporary exhibits, the ones we've done so far, and what this next one might look like. And so that's that Elmwood Art Call that's coming up. The Art on Site Fund is that fund that you talked about that last time, or
No.
Maybe Janet talked about it. Yeah, and that's the one where we've got a little bit of money where we're ready to partner with a neighborhood association or a business association and a property owner, and we each put a third into it, and we can do a mural. And we're hoping to get a few more murals up pretty quickly that way. And council was really excited about that. And for some reason, there had been resistance in the past. Our Percent for Art Fund, we typically have to spend it on public property, on art on public property. But the way it's always been used, but it doesn't have to always be on public property. We have to go through a process in order, and the Arts Commission is going to have to approve it, but we can put money into or private property that is facing the public.
Yeah.
So there's that, and like we mentioned, that purchase of 2D works by regional artists of color, we're going to be working on.
Yep.
And then we've done almost everything, but we do want to talk a little bit about interpretation and promotion and care. And interpretation right now, we've got this web catalog, and this is what it looks like. We're trying to find a way to efficiently and cheaply make it look a lot better and get better pictures up. And that's going to be, that'll be a little bit of a process, but it's going to be well worth it, I think. So, we can get a web catalog up. We typically have a brochure of public art. And then we have an app that is right now on the Elmwood Art Walk. And so you can look at, it's got audio of the artist, it's got an image of the piece, and it's got a QR code, you can scan it. And we have that for the temporary pieces, but we don't have anything nearly that robust for our permanent pieces. So, and he's been calling me, the guy who put that together for free for us, and he's interested in helping us do more. We just got to get ready and know what we want to do. But there's a lot more that we can do in interpreting it and then promoting it. And so, like, when we have a dedication, we try to make a big hoopla and get people engaged with it. We've done the tour Art by Bike, so you can bike around different public art pieces. We do that in partnership with Ride Solutions. Years ago, we did a poker run, and where you ran to different public art pieces, and you got a card, a playing card, and you got a hand by the end of it. And that, and Greg had to pop off. He just put a note there, and he had a call to be on. And that poker run, it was in February when we did it, and it was like 20 degrees out there. And I stood in front of one of those pieces of art. My hands still hurt from that. It was cold, but we had a good number of people doing it, and we had a lot of fun. And we've done social media campaigns where we have like local officials talking about the art that they like. We can do a lot more, and we don't even have many walk-in tours in town. We were thinking, can we do like a themed exhibit of some of our art, and in collaboration with some of the other folks who have collections like the Taubman or Hollins or such. And we could even rotate our art in the community, in their civic buildings, and make people notice it a lot more, I think. And then finally, care. So we've got the inventory of, we've got the inventory of our artwork, which talks about, shows the date we got it, what condition it's in, how we got it, if it won any awards. I'd like to expand that inventory and build in interpretive copy so that we can draw on it very easily from that spreadsheet and kind of push it out. Then we've also got conservators report that we did one in 2012 with an NEA grant, and we've done had conservators look at specific pieces that we need to care for. And then the Taubman Museum of Art is Mary Legou, who's their registrar. She's going to be helping us with understanding how we can care for some of our pieces as well. So that partnership is going to be helpful. And that is the overview of the collection. And I'm gonna stop sharing, and we'll hop back so you can see William's pretty face.
Yeah.
And then, so do you have any questions or ideas? It could be even something you've seen in another community that you think around the collection we ought to be doing. And I will say too, this is one piece the collections committee is doing this series, and then in the spring we're going to do the series is all going to be on working in community. So how do artists work in community? How do they, what are philosophies around it? There's this cool workbook that Springboard for the Arts has put out that I think we're going to use as our guide for that. But while we're talking about the collection, any questions or thoughts or before we sign off?
I got a couple ideas I'd just like to throw out there.
Yeah.
Or maybe I should just email them to you. Doing a call for entries of haunted artwork. People submit photographs of them interacting with the city art collection, their family, their friends, their neighbors, whatever, in a haunted way, and then do a haunted lantern tour of art just for fun.
People love the haunted tours and ideas. Or
Yeah.
I don't. There used to be like a haunted tour of Roanoke. There used to be
A long time ago.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know much about the local legends either of what's haunted around here.
I don't think there's very many.
There's not. They tore them all down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, we can make some up though. That's how they all get started. So yeah.
I am a believer in that. Without not necessarily making up the false history, but
Well, to not really false history, but hey, I mean, history is like there's so many. I mean, we read in history books about the high level, this happened, that happened, but I mean, the local, what happened to people, in places, little nicks, niches, little alleyways.
I will tell you too. Some of that we are getting captured in oral history projects that, like the Harrison Museum has been doing one, and the library's got a lot of oral histories. And I talked to Nathan over there about it. He said, we've got all this content, but nobody's doing anything with it, and we don't have the resources to do anything with it. And
oh my goodness.
When you think about that, like that's so rich for interpretation, to inspire a painting or.
It is priceless. I was on an oral history project with my friend when we worked for the water management district down here. We met so many people. I met a steamboat captain who used to drive steamboats. We met a lady that her grandmother was on the Trail of Tears.
Wow.
So I mean, it was just so much, so rich, and I mean, I know Roanoke is the same way. I mean, and people our age, we don't think about it, but we may be able to. I mean, we heard stories when we were growing up, family stories, stories that maybe we've, experienced. Man, that is just, I mean, I just love oral history.
It really can inspire art.
Oh, it's just an endless, it's endless.
Yeah. In fact, Dolores Hayden is her name. I don't know if she's still, I don't even know if she's even still living, but she was a Yale professor, and she did a lot of work in public art, capturing oral histories and kind of stumbling across hidden histories. And she did a lot with narratives of enslaved people. And there's one woman who made her way to California, to Los Angeles, and she did and it ended up being in a parking garage, because where that parking garage was like where her house had been. So she interpreted her life in that parking garage.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was a really cool project. Wow, that would be an interesting way that'd be another a way to engage people. First, if you did a call around those like oral histories or hidden histories or even like haunted histories, and you made them
right,
made the made the information available to them, like those oral histories. Like
Sure.
one way it just gets people back engaged in what the information we've already got.
And
Yeah.
it's such a point of conversation too. You know, when people just don't even realize it and they walk past something like, where did that come from? Or, you know, it just opens up a whole new side of Roanoke.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I like these. Okay, I'm making a list. And we are going to keep visiting this, because when we do calls, even for the art walk, we do themes. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next week a little bit.
okay.
Yeah, and if you can't be here next week, we'll have it recorded again, because I kept the recording button going, and we recorded this one and remembered to do it. Any other thoughts before we sign off tonight?
Thank y'all for joining us.
Yeah. Think about how
Oh,
boring.
very.
Think about how boring this would have been if it was just me and William.
Well, it was nice meeting you all. Very
Yeah.
nice, and I hope to see you in person someday.
We look forward to it. Yeah, and Jane, great seeing you tonight.
And Jane, I don't know if I'm gonna get to see you or not. I'm gonna try though.
It's always good to see you, William Penn.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you in a couple of weeks too. At Soul Sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID mixtape. Is that it? COVID.
My COVID mix. Yeah, me and you are doing a collaboration, so I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm also terrified.
Oh, that'd be great. That's
Hey, Jane,
that's exactly where
do you
all those good things happen, right in that space.
Yep. Ma'am?
release any recordings?
You can just Google Radar Rose, Radarose. Sorry, Radarrose. We're on iTunes, and you can find us on Reverb Nation and on Facebook. There's places to find it for free or to pay for it.
Okay. All righty. I will look you up.
Awesome.
That's what I'm going to do that when I get home. Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Good night. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.